Happy Bringling. Further to the Indian government advisory on using Zoom amid security concerns, myself, Anshav Jain, founder of Bringle Blended Meetups and Blended Learning Platform, is very proud to share that our platform automates the all 9 pointers already for our 50 plus B2B and 300 plus B2C clients for the last 2 years. We generate a unique code every session and only host can start the session. All the recorded data is being stored and reviewed in private cloud servers including the user's data. If you are using the Zoom account already, you can integrate your existing account to Bringle platform easily. We are also in the process of developing our own video conferencing solution and also working on alternate solutions as well. Do reach out to us at info@bringleacademy.com if you would like to invest in this unique solution. Now, pearls of wisdom from the topic process focus. Abhijit Dandekar, Director Quality at Otis Elevators, APAC, stated that standard process needs to be implemented, monitored and aligned with the business. End result of process should be as per the customer as they would pay only for the value added activities. In any circumstances, processes won't change, but the monitoring or managing the process will undergo a lot of changes. Sanjay, senior scientist at TCS, gave an example of Kumbh Mela and how 800 experts comes together to design a process to eliminate deaths and missing people. He had also shared the similar concept for smart cities. He mentioned about the closing the social issues through process at a mega level. Dr. Ajay Desai, World Book, Limca, Asia and India Book record holder, mentioned that in the next 10 years everything is going to be changed from the technology perspective. India will benefit the most out of it and technology is getting more attention today than earlier. Do upload your pitch decks at bringleacademy.com/course/business sustainability to pitch in front of our cross-border investors and last date is 22nd April 2020. Keep bringing, keep growing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome once again to hashtag 21 Days Business Sustainability Challenge. Happy Bringling to all. We at Bringle team, along with Vardhan, Women Lines, Purnam Foundation, and Solveworks, would like to welcome all of you in the daily Business Sustainability Challenge, which is going across the globe. Uh, in around 10 plus countries today, we have got speakers from 10 plus countries by now. There will be a detailed hosting which will be done through TV and media channels, which is giving us a coverage of 200 plus million viewership in 140 plus countries. Before we move forward, I would like to put up a small message, share a small point out here, especially because government has given a direct advisory on Zoom. I would just like to add there that Bringle platform is basically fully secured with our cybersecurity ways of doing it. So we use the Zoom platform only to connect it using the video conferencing solution. It is an API which we have integrated. Apart from that, entire data, passwords, it's a completely secured in our Amazon servers. It's a SaaS based platform. So please do not worry about your data being taken away. And if you have logged in through the accounts through the Bringle platform, you will not face any issues on the Zoom connections in terms of the cybersecurity issues. Apart from that, we are also trying to develop our own video conferencing solution, but it will take some time. And if there are any investors who would like to come forward and support us in this activity and developing this solution, please do come forward and reach out to us. We'll be happy to, we will be happy to give them a better returns of investment in this because we have to start now developing this for the betterment of, Indian population specifically and globally actually. I think without taking much more time and going into that, I would want to speak about yesterday's Pulse of Wisdom on the topic disruptive technologies. I am just sharing the. So yesterday, Rohit Goyal spoke about deep technology, in the example of, especially he mentioned about the example of the transportation company, how driver behavior to end destination is being tracked using data and which can monitor the entire process. Dr. Kostub gave the scenario of what's happening now, how the supply chain model is broken or shifted, what is the scope for high resolution cameras, health and shift health sector, and what's the shift in education industry as well. He also mentioned that immersive technologies platforms, specifically like Bringle platform, will be more utilized and useful for the education industry. His BPO case study was perfect example of deep data analysis to track the outcome and reduce the wastages. Gaurav Yadav, he advised that startups can get going using the ready products available on the market. He spoke about the ability to move within offline and online work scenarios. They shifted 13,000 employees online seamlessly in a month's time. And that is a big case study with respect to the current scenario of working from home. Anil Patel from UK, he was mentioning about Bringle platform while he is an investor with blended learning platform with us and doesn't have other platforms or issues which he's finding with the platforms like Zoom. He also mentioned about how deep technology has been used as a solution based process to and make it more predictable to avoid errors. Arvind Narayan Murthy gave a very interesting view on the manufacturing industry that it will boom post COVID-19. People, less factories would be more in demand. There would be a different skill sets which which individuals which needs to be developed, and that is why education industry, the skill development industry has to grow differently, and there will be more of the people with the jobs will be going wherein there are more monotonous jobs. IoT is going to play a big role, and there are new job roles which are going to emerge out of this entire change. He talked about that these all new jobs which are going to come will actually be more skill-based jobs at this point in time. Kailash Pandey gave business scenarios specifically in Nepal. He's an investor and a corporate lawyer in Nepal. He works with a lot of startups there, and he says this disruptive technology is victim of its own success. The original concept needs to come back. It shouldn't be used only for the big and profitable industries, but smaller players too should get benefited out of it. Every business segment should get benefited out of it. With this, I would like to share that today's topic for our 21 days business sustainability challenge is process focus. And I would like to request entrepreneurs, businessmen, businesses to upload their pitch deck at bringleacademy.com/course/business sustainability for the live pitching week starting 27th of April 2020. If you have any queries, please feel free to write an email at info@bringleacademy.com. With this, I would like to request Charu to please introduce today's speakers and initiate the show.
Thank you so much, Aisha. A very good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to whole global community there. It's such a pleasure to welcome speakers for today. We have Sanjay Kimbahone, Senior Scientist at Tata Consultancy Services Limited. He has 29 years experience with 21 years in IT industry and the rest in telecom. Interested in solving pressing societal issues at scale using technology. Till date, he has filed 75 plus patents, 25 granted patents, and have published 25 plus research papers. Some of these patents were leveraged to develop innovative mobile applications that touched lives of about 1 million farmers and 100K lactating mothers in hinterland. Welcome, Sanjay, to the show. We have Abhijit Dandekar, Director, Quality and Product Safety at Otis Elevator, company Asia Pacific region. Experienced supply chain director with demonstrated history of working in the vertical transportation industry. With over 30 plus years of experience in technical aspects, codes and standards supplemented by QMS and ISO deployment. Highly skilled in operations management, sales management, operational excellence, and quality management. And strong operations professionals with a bachelor's in electronic engineering and master's in management studies. Welcome, Abhijit, to the show. And we have Dr. Ajay Desai, World Book Limca Asia and India Book of World Record holder and global leader icon of 2019 and trainer of Millennium. Global leader, experienced chairperson with a demonstrated history of working in the management consulting industry. He has expertise in ISO, TPM, TQM, Six Sigma, product certification projects, awards, assistance. He's skilled in corporate advisory, management, business strategy, training and development, and team management, strong business development guidance, and consultancy services. Welcome, Dr. Ajay, to the show. And myself, Charu Mehrotra, I'm founder of online magazine womenlines.com, which is listed in top 40 women's online magazines to follow in 2020. So do follow and subscribe it. Thank you so much. I will ask Ashok to take it further. Thank you.
Thanks, Charu. I would want to ask this question to Abhijit. That is my first question. Abhijit, what are the essentials for the process design, and what we can specifically learn in the current lockdown scenario? Could you answer on that particular point?
Basically, for every business, processes are important. If you have a good standard work, if you remember, in any manufacturing industry, there are always laid down processes for doing everything. But for business processes like office environments or sales management or marketing management, there is always a problem that we don't have properly laid down processes. And that is the reason most of the people do the job, they feel it right, and then the results are always unpredicted. So it is always important that we have a standard work for doing everything. Taichi Ono, who was the CEO of Toyota Motors, used to say if there is no standard work or if there is no process, then basically that work does not exist. So it can be done in any way people will feel. And that is why we need a process for everything. And then once we have a process, then we need to also know whether the process is impacting that business, how it is impacting that business, and then how mature that process is amongst the process users. That means every user who is using that process, is he knowledgeable of that? Is he using that process, and is he using that process in the same standardized format or not? So that is very important, and that process design is extremely beneficial to any startup or any business model, and it helps even if you switch your businesses or even if you move from one job to another. If you are a process oriented guy, then it becomes very easy for you to get adopted. Otherwise, it becomes difficult.
So, Abhijit, just tell me just a moment. I think, okay, I have this question from Abhijit to you again. What will be the role of process excellence experts in a work from home scenario? When the service delivery is going to be from a work from home, and even for the large outsourcing industries as well, and the manufacturing industries, or the any kind of brick and mortar industries, how do you think that process excellence will change, and how will it impact?
Yeah, process excellence will not change in the sense that process will be measured in a different way, obviously, because in manufacturing we measure the process capability, that is CPK. But in business processes, like for example, if you are handling a service center, or if you are handling a call center, if you are managing various shutdowns or breakdowns or deliveries from sitting at home, then definitely we have IT to support us. But at the same time, if we do not have a process backup, in the sense that how to do it, even if you're sitting in office or even if you're sitting at home, if that network is there, and if everybody who are in that process exactly know their job and what they are doing, it becomes very easy. And that is why even if you're sitting at home and working from home, the process management helps a lot. And that doesn't basically, if you have a good standard work, that should not change apart. What changes is only the medium, that means whether you're working from office or you're working from home. But everything should remain the same if you are really in a good matured environment of process certification.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Abhijit. Sanjay, I would like to continue this question with you, because you work in a large outsourcing company and TCS. And how do you think the productivity is going to kind of impact when it comes to work from home? and whether our international customers who have always been talking about data security, having an exclusive space, physical space for them, how is that outlook going to change?
Delivery organization, right? So I'm from a research organization, and a standard disclaimer, whatever I'll be speaking is my personal views. So my organization may or may not be agreeing with that. But from a research perspective, yes, definitely work from home and process is very, very important. So I have a little bit different perspective. I've been working with a lot of startups and how the process, basically researchers are not prone to adopt any processes. They are disturbed people, kind of. They tend to get swayed by their thought processes and all those things. So they are they don't follow any processes. But our experience is that the process, no, if we design some process, right, then the research could be much better. So just give one example. We have an innovation center. So I'll not take corporate example. I'll take a social example because most of my experience is in that field. So I'm from Mumbai. So there's a place called as Nashik, right? So Nashik, every 12 years, the Kumbh Mela happens. Okay, the Kumbh Mela meaning millions and millions of people coming into the city of 15 lakh population, taking the bath and going back. Right? It puts tremendous amount of pressure onto the infrastructure. Now imagine the processes put into place for this Kumbh Mela, how it would change. Now leave behind this Allahabad Kumbh Mela, which was managed very, very perfectly. But earlier Kumbh Mela used to happen like Mele mein bichad gaye, then a lot of people used to get missed and all those things. If I take the baseline of previous two Kumbh Melas, in Allahabad Kumbh Mela in 2012, in one day 96,000 people were lost, right? So this 2015 Kumbh Mela, actually there was a social organization called as Kumbhathon, and then we decided that let us follow some processes and digital technologies to make this Kumbh Mela very effective. And that's where we thought the process would make a lot of impact. So around 800 people came, and there were a lot of solutions and processes that were derived out of that experience. And to our surprise, this first Kumbh Mela was event-free. Nobody lost, and nobody lost the life. Right. So the processes could be then this gave rise to a lot of solutions which could be used for the smart city solutions. Then TCS started an innovation center there in Nashik to house these incubators and help them to bring out the solutions. Now, in that process, in that experience of mentoring the startups, we learned a lot of processes. And I'll speak from that perspective, process, not from a corporate perspective, from a social perspective. Right? So the process of innovation, we divided into 4 parts. The first part is the spot part. So I'll just give one example. There are 3 types of people in the world, right? One type of people, they'll just script, right? So many potholes are there. This is not working, internet is not working, all those things, right? So they are required, right? Because they'll script, right? Some people will just observe the things, and they just keep quiet, right? But they will spot out the problem. And the third type of people who are innovators who would try to solve the problems. Okay. Now the progress of nation depends on the percentage of these 3 type of people. Now, if the last type of people are more, then that nation becomes innovative. And I think that should be our aim. Okay. So that's where we started looking at these kind of people, assembling this kind of people, and try to solve the problems of the masses. So one such example I'd give, that in Nashik, the maternal mortality is one of the big problems. So a lot of mothers die because of during the delivery. Okay. So one of the challenge was, can you reduce the maternal mortality to 0? So that was the challenge given by the local district administration. And we worked with local community, doctors, health workers, and we created a solution which screens the mother for high risk factors. Okay. And then we deployed it to the health workers. And I think maternal mortality rate was brought down to significantly low, not exactly 0, but very significantly low. And that's where we learn a lot of processes for developing a solution for addressing the issues of the masses. Now, this process comprises of 4 parts. The first part, I would say, a spot phase. Now, the spot phase, let me just pull out the presentation. The spot phase, in this phase, the innovators actually go and observe the problems. Okay, they will go to the field, talk to the people. So basically, the spot phase, it basically in this phase, people will collaborate with the local people. They will identify the issue. Like say in Nasik, there's an issue of maternal mortality, or in Mumbai, now there's an issue of short supply of grains and vegetables. Now they will do a little bit of field study. They will articulate the challenge in a very clear and crisp way, because understanding and articulating is very important. And they'll develop a little bit of business model. So this phase, we consciously force them to spend at least 4 weeks, so that the problem statement is very clear and crisp. Okay. Now the second stage is actually a probe stage, wherein one of the important learning is that design thinking tools are very, very important in this phase. Okay. So in this phase, people go to the field, they deep dive, they do online and offline research, they articulate existing mechanism, proposed mechanism along the value proposition, and then a lot of interaction with the local mentors. Okay. The second thing is that they develop some POC, wherein a lot of end user involvement is there. Because most of the products fail because the end user is not involved, and then some lab testing is there. So this is the second phase, and mandatorily the person has to spend 10 to 20 weeks in this phase, because typically the students, the college students, so they have tendency to jump to the solutions. So we have to tame them down, ask them to spend reasonable time in articulating the problem, interacting with the stakeholders, refining the problem definition, refining the POC. Okay. The third step would be a grow phase, wherein a small scale field deployment will be done, the feedback from the end users will be taken, and the review with the mentors will be done. The next step would be IPR and publication phase, wherein if there is IPR, these guys will file a patent, write research paper, apply for awards and conferences. And the last stage would be a sustain phase, wherein a lot of scale up and funding will happen. So now through this phase, so there are at least 4 to 5 years good startups that have churned out of these things. So I'll discuss 2 or 3 startups which have used this process to develop their solution. The first stage, what I discussed, was a team Matrutva, wherein they actually developed a solution which actually reduced the maternal mortality to almost a zero. So they scanned around 75,000 mothers in Nasik district, identified high-risk mothers, and developed a solution to accelerate the follow-up. The second solution, which a good solution evolved, was SenseDose. Now, TB is one of the big problems, right, in India and worldwide also. Now, you might be aware that the XDR TB is very much prevalent in Mumbai also. The challenge is that nobody knows that he has a TB, because many of the people know, people from the lower strata, the TB is latent, and whenever the immunity goes down, this TB springs up and the person falls sick. The challenge in identifying this TB in remote area is actually a pathological challenges. So there are very less number of labs are there. So we looked at this problem from a complete holistic perspective, and we said that let us divide this problem into 4 stages. The first thing is that how do we detect the TB at scale? Using a simple mechanism, possibly a mobile phone with a microscope embedded into that mobile phone, because this TB bacterium is very well characterized and the slide preparation is very much easy. So using machine learning, we're trying to do that. So the second stage, very important stage, is actually medicine compliance. Okay. So there's a standard dose of medicines depending on the type of the TB, but people tend to miss the dose, right? Because there are a lot of side effects are there. So can we develop a solution wherein these people missing the dose can be alerted, and you can give the dose on the timely basis. So that was the second part. So the third part was nutrition management. So the nutrition management, meaning whether the person has eaten reasonably or not, because these tablets are very, they have very side effects. So nutrition is very much essential. And the fourth one was actually rehabilitation, because typically this TB affects people who are a little bit below poverty line, and their daily earning wages and all those things are lost. So psychological rehabilitation is also very important. Now, both of these applications went through all these processes, and these are very, very successful. Now in Nashik, approximately 160 XDR TB patients are being treated through these things. So likewise, there are many such success stories. At least 8 to 10 startups are there. If I summarize, no, so the total number of lives touched, I think about 6 months back, were 7.36 lakhs. There were 38 plus awards, and 45 change makers were there. So that's where I think, no, the process driven innovation is very much important for a startup. So I think these are some of the things from my experience I can share with the
I
larger
think,
team.
Sanjay, I would really want to appreciate the way you have made it very simple process for a startup. And those 5 stages which you have mentioned is actually very, very critical and onto that. Because see, what happens is that at a startup level, we always feel that there is no process. I mean, it is all ad hoc. We can do anything what it has to be market driven. I mean, we use all these jargons, market driven, market dependencies and things like that. But everything, as you rightly said, it's all a process, and you have a case study in the rural sector also, in the sector which is normally not very conversant with all these jargons and things like that. So I think that's a very fair understanding. Mani, I would want you to kind of chip in here, specifically with respect to our 5 belts which you have designed for Design Your Unicorn. How do you see that fitment going in with those 5 stages which Sanjay has mentioned?
Thank you, Ansha. Definitely, yes. What Sanjay has shared is a valuable input for startups, mainly in this rural sector, because most of the startup ideas that we hear are either the ones that exist in the market or is some kind of innovation that we always try to hear from the existing competition. But when we go to the rural area, they are actually trying to solve the problem, and that's where a lot of problems exist for India. And we need to focus more on a simplistic designs like whatever Mr. Sanjay has explained. I look a lot of similarity of that to what we have designed the process of Design Your Unicorn. But the one thing I would like to highlight here is most of the startups are to tremendous rush once they find the idea. The rush is to hit the market, make some money, which way or the other. If not make money, get funded, get the price. So this tremendous rush. But in process of the rush, they try to follow some process, but it's only the founders who actually know what they are doing, right? So getting them into a streamline, getting them into more of converting the idea into opportunity making, and trying to take that opportunity to more a viability, minimum viability stage, and define it as a product, and then taking it to the next level, defining it as a business. So a lot of these things are very important, which makes us a critical milestones of, you can say, the unheard process in the startup world. So it's there, but it's not really unheard because people are rushing through the milestones of making a viability product, make a market launch, get organic customer, get early revenue, then claim that they are sustainable, and then try to reach the investors, raise funding, then try to expand. So these looks to be very kind of serious rush, and that's exactly what we have tried to streamline this in the Design Your Unicorn process, where we try to give a similar kind of a 5-step approach, but we are trying to connect the startup to their own doing and trying to create a value. The fundamental assumption or the fundamental guideline in Design Unicorn processes, at every stage, the startup will have some kind of a value that is being created, and that value goes to the next level in view of multiplying it and finally achieving the goal. And another important factor Design Your Unicorn is like we are not creating a race. We are creating the ability for the startup to take any such race. Race in the sense like most of, as I said, it's been a rush. The moment I have idea, the next question I have is who is my investor? So that's the kind of race typically startups have. And Design Your Unicorn actually puts that race in a more structured manner, and we create the ability for them to take any such kind of that. And definitely, yes, a lot of working has been gone into what Sanjay is saying. We will definitely connect with you, Sanjay, in the offline and try to take
Yeah.
some learnings out of it. Because our goal is also to bring in a kind of platform for entrepreneurs to make it
So,
bigger uniform. Yeah, thank you.
so
Thanks, Mani, and thanks, Sanjay. I think, Mani, what you have brought in a very important point. And in this entire week, what we have understood is that process is going to be a major focus for anything, even for any startup. If a founder doesn't understand the importance of the process excellence, the data, the metrics, I think the startups, probably that is one of the major reasons because of which startups don't succeed, or they look only for the investments and then keep running behind that, rushing behind that. It is like preparing a jockey as well as the horse for the best race. So the jockey here is the founder and the horse is your startup. So unless you have the best of that combination, you cannot win the race. So I think that is what is going to be more important into this. And I mean, really an important point of view. With this, I would want to ask question to Ajay. Ajay, I have a very specific question out here with respect to a comparison of a very familiar case study in the market, which is of American Express, wherein they have a very good customer service teams, but mostly working from home. And in current scenarios, when a lot of startups and even businesses are coming down, how do you think that kind of strategy will be more essential for businesses and startups?
I hear. It is clear, sir.
Yeah, pardon?
It is clear.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, see the American Express issue that you have seen, and most of the people are working from home. You mean to say that, no? Hello.
Right. So they have a best customer service department, and most of their team members are working from home. These are typically those women who are working in their free time for them.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a very good concept and a unique concept from American Express. Hello. Yeah, yeah. And this nowadays the things are changing rapidly. In this scenario of this sustainability and all, everybody wants to nowadays American Express has got some different ideas, some unique ideas. They have an innovation team with them, and this innovation team do it's a indirectly it's a cost cutting areas. If they were full-time reporters, it cost you heavily. So they are utilizing those people who are very innovative and who can give the best services, as well as different type of innovative ideas from different fields. So these are the basics idea, and they're utilizing their talents this way.
Yeah, got it. Got it, Ajay. So Ajay, just tell me one thing. I mean, how technology is going to play an important role in the entire new world, or I would say the post-COVID scenario?
Yeah, technology will play a big role, because nowadays lots of new technologies are coming up. Within 10 years the things will be changed rapidly. The new things are coming up, like technology. Everywhere there is a importance of technology, because technology doesn't want man. Understand first. In these 10 years everything will be changed. There will be no petrol cars, diesel cars. you know all these virtual things will be happen in the 10 years. Most of the nowadays, these big cities are coming up. What kind of big cities? You can say uh, 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 all lots of different technology, lots of different innovations are coming up in these 10 years. So things will be change rapidly in this world. That technology will play a big role, because you see nowadays Tesla is coming up in a different way. So many new IT technologies are coming up. So the things are changing very, very rapidly, because this century, this 21st century, is called as a century of speed. Lots of things are changing. Lots of innovations will be there.
Yeah, thank you, Ajay. Thanks for that
Yeah.
input. In continuation to that, I would just like to ask a similar question to Mr. Abhijit. This new concept that is coming up called virtual excellence.
Yeah.
Can you share some thoughts on that? Like the current situation, which is helping people to be in a virtual world and spread the excellence and try to take it to the next level. So, how can this kind of situation help the startups or the entrepreneurs to go with this concept of virtual excellence? Can you share your thoughts on that? Vijit, you're on mute. You're on mute. Hi.
Okay. All right. Okay, so definitely, any business for excellence or anything that you want to measure has to have some metrics. So when you talk about metrics, the metrics have major categories. One is basically your EHS, that means safety related metrics. The second one is your customer related metrics. The third one is your basically operations related metrics, then quality and delivery, and then the business results, how much money we are getting at the end, because everything that we are doing is for the business. There is no social service here. So at the end of it, how much we are earning is also important. How satisfied your customers are, that is second important, and your quality and delivery metrics. That means how good are there are, there has to be minimum process errors, there has to be minimum defects. Everything has to be delivered to customer on time and defect free. That is what we measure as a part of operations excellence or as a part of business excellence. Same thing has to be measured in virtual excellence also. Even if you are working remotely, or even if you are working from home, or even if your businesses are diverse, the same metrics can be used for measurement. And if these metrics are really on target, and if you are having good control points in place, then definitely what results you will be getting will be similar to what you get when you're on office or on the site business, doing on the site business. For example, as I said, what we need to measure is the customer satisfaction, how satisfied your customers are in terms of, again, quality, delivery, working relationship, and responsiveness. These are the four categories that we measure for customer satisfaction. So if we are measuring customer satisfaction in these four categories, and then if you have got a good score, basically on a, let's say, 5-point scale, if you get anything more than 3, or on a 6-point scale anything more than 4, then it is important. Same time, quality and delivery metrics, that means on time delivery has to be more than 98%. At the same time, defects have to be less than Six Sigma, as you always say, that is the preferred thing. And then the business, at the end, we should earn money. The profitability has to be there. The cash flow to net income ratio has to be in good condition. And this is what we are looking for. So operations excellence is nothing but about these metrics, which we are just talking about. And if you are doing it virtually, the same thing I think can be measured. And this is what is done in most of the organizations, where they measure these metrics offline or online, whether you are doing the business from job site or whether you're doing the business remotely. And if you are within those control points that have been specified, then you can always see the improvements. And then if there are no, you can further improve on that, whether we are managing these control points in a really better way or not. So definitely virtual excellence is also important. It's similar to operations excellence, and then we definitely need it, because without measuring or without measuring the process outputs, we cannot just think how good the processes are running and how effective are these processes. Basically, you can be having processes, but people are not using it, and then you will not get those metrics. At the same time, there will be different metrics for different people because they are not standardized processes, and we'll have a chaos situation. So definitely we need to monitor them, and whatever we monitor, we deliver. That's what it's the law. That means whatever you demand, people deliver. If you don't ask these metrics or if you don't monitor these metrics, those will be lost, and then definitely you will not get those results based on what you are expecting.
Thank you, Abhijit. That actually brings a lot of insights on metrics, more of the process errors, and a lot of other things. I really appreciate the way you actually explained everything in terms of 4 components, the basic metrics that are required, covering the customers, the operations, and all related to the excellence. Now, I would like to ask Sanjay on the in the connection to the same question. Sanjay, when we are dealing with the situation of a virtual excellence, what could be the 3 risks that you see we could run over? Because being virtually excellent is a good situation right now, but what could be the 3 risks which we might run over? Sanjay, you're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. The first risk, I would say, the behavioral risk, because as a society, we are yet to be there to be working from home. That working from home means no flexibility, right? The second risk would be typically a security risk, right? So you have a data of customer which is coming from the office boundary to your home. So as a society, we need to learn to respect the privacy of the data. The third risk would be the output, right? So actually the working, right? So how much effort you put in. So I think these are 3 major risks that that's what I see.
Great. Thank you. In continuation to that, I would like to ask one more question, like how can the standards or the methods or the process that the organizations have already put it in the have in the past, now how can they leverage that in this situation and move into the future? Like they have to do any tweaking, how quickly they can do the tweaking, considering the situation of virtual excellence, having loads of processes, this kind of situations. How do you see it? Is it a possibility?
Yeah, it is possibility. Definitely is a possibility. So, but the most important underlying issue is the behavior, right? So, if you change the behavior, I think all of the things will be taken care. See, whatever controls you put in, right? So, people are smart enough to bypass the controls. Okay. So, I think the root mindset change has to be the behavioral change, right? So, you need to be compliant to the processes, not in the letter, but in the spirit. I think if you do that, most of the issues will be taken care.
Great, thank you. Now I'll ask a question to Dr. Ajay. Is this rush, there would be definitely some rush or a good opportunity that will happen post this COVID situation. So how prepared the business should be to catch up? Please, can you share your thoughts on that?
There will be a definitely big rush. But at the same time, there will be lots of challenges will be there. Because, people are thinking nowadays that the thinking of people is going to be a change. So there is a big challenge to the people. Number one, the economy is going to be very, very challenging because it's going to be down. Economy will be down definitely. And in this situation, if there will be a startup or any business will be going up, they wanted to go in a big way, and there will be a big challenge to the people, process, and product also. And there is a again challenge, but of course I can see the big benefits to the India also, because daily you can see in the magazines or in the newspaper, you see lots of companies are planning to come to India. So for the Indians, especially for the Indians, we have a big opportunity in these startups and challenges. It's a big opportunity I can see, because lots of Americans today I have heard in the news, I have seen in the news that the Korean companies coming, more than 100 Korean companies coming to India. more than 200 company coming to American companies coming to India, and so many Japanese companies, more than 100 companies coming to India. So of course we have big opportunities, I can say in this way. This big opportunity to India, basically.
Thank you. Now I would like to ask the same question to
Mani,
Abhijit.
Mani, I have a question with from Dr. Ajay.
Yeah.
Dr. Ajay, I think I was just checking your profile, and I
Yeah.
realized that you have got a lot of records with you in terms of Limca Book of Records and Trainer of the Millennium and things. Now, could you please share some insights on that? That what are these rewards or awards for, and how does it kind of benefiting the society?
Yeah, interesting. Basically, I started my journey with Bajaj Auto Limited 37 years back. Then I was with KTLA Group, and at the age of 35, I started my consulting firm. So my vision was very much clear. So I started with the training and development. Until date, I've trained more than 5 lakhs top executives of the company, including top executives of the Reliance, Godrej, National Panasonics, and so many top companies of the world. So my vision was very much clear. Yeah, I wanted to give something to the society with my knowledge, with my experience, with my talent. So I trained more than 5 lakhs top executives of the world. And I had given small companies, I have more than 2000 plus clients with me. So a small company has become the biggest company due to my intervention, due to my innovations, due to my technological guidance. So many company has growth. It has growth like anything, like Anchor, Cello, you name it, Reliance. These are my contribution to the society, to the top corporate houses, including many MNCs like BASF, Panasonic, so many companies. So I contributed a big role in this world. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I received this kind of
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajay.
yeah, awards, rewards, and it is the
Awards.
journey is not completed. Yeah, it is continuing. Yeah.
Incredible. I think we have got really great speakers today, like Dr.
Yeah.
Ajay, who has got so many awards. Sanjay has got I think 70 plus patents in his kitty, and with Abhijit having a wonderful experience in the corporate industry and the kind of experience which he has. So I think Mani, you can continue from here. I'm sorry I stopped you in between.
No problem. Yeah, I was trying to connect back to Abhijit and Sanjay as well to know their views on how entrepreneurs have to be ready with the rush or the opportunity that comes post the COVID situation. Maybe you both can share your thoughts. Yeah. Maybe
Let me
can
go
start
first.
with Sanjay. Yeah.
Okay. So actually, I've been talking to these entrepreneurs and startups since last, I think, 4-5 years. And some of my learnings, is that the startups, so they are 80% focused on technology, right? So they say that, yes, we'll use Java, we'll use this high-tech technology and create some POC, right? And make sure that something is demonstrable. But they don't focus anything on business model. So I've seen only 20% of the people focusing on business model other than on technology. The second major drawback what the startups have is that if somebody on some day they get some good idea, that without checking the value perception of the end customers, they just try to develop a POC, develop something and try to go to the market, right? If they feel that it is valuable for them, it is valuable for others, which is not the case. In fact, we also went through that journey. As a corporate, we think that yes, this is very valuable for other people, but when we go there, I think it's useless. So I can share one of my experience. So we developed a solution for fishermen. Now in Mumbai, there's a coast, right? And there's a lot of fishing happening. So typically, if you see fishermen, no, they will put the diesel in the small trawler. There are around 16,000 trawlers. So they have some guidelines. I mean, they have some earlier, no, based on their experiences, no, the wind coming from this direction, the color of the sea, the birds coming from this direction, and they will have their own guesstimates, and they'll just go and see whether they get a fish or not. They are in the sea for 2-3 days. If they get the fish, they come with the fish. Otherwise, they come empty. Okay. Now we try to change the scenario. We work with an organization called as CMFRI, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute. Now these guys have done a very interesting model. So they actually take satellite images, and there are sensors in the sea. And based on this data, they figure out where the fishes are and where they are moving. Okay. It's like just like in summer days, people will be mostly at home, right? They'll not be on the street, or people will be below the tree, that kind of thing. No, that's the analogy. Now this CMFRI gives this data where the fishes are, and then we thought that yes, if you give this data, the fishermen will be very happy. Then we created our application, mobile application, using all our design experience and everything, and beautiful application, and we give it to them. So they said that, sir, this application is good, but it is useless. So we got a shock of our life, right? So we said that yes, this is a very beautiful application. You are getting so much value and all those things. They said that, sir, where is the coverage in the sea? Mobile coverage. What is this application used for? There is no coverage in the sea. Okay. Then since we were connected with TTSL and all those things, we actually put the coverage in the sea. Right. So
you put the coverage in the sea.
Yes. Yes, wireless coverage in the sea. 40 kilometers.
Okay. So it is like that technology which we are trying to put into airlines also. Is it something like that?
No. Actually, this is wireless coverage in the sea, because in the sea there is no customer. There are no customers. So nobody is pumping signal into the sea. And now, as a part of this exercise, this was done I think in 2016, something like that, 16, 17. The unexpected result came. The result was in terms of saving the diesel. Because these trawlers, they put the diesel and go to the sea. Now, if we compare the diesel consumption of year N+1 with respect to year N, it was approximately 500,000 liters less. So that much amount of carbon dioxide was saved, and the yield was approximately 40%. Right? But the value articulation has to be very appropriate. You have to work very closely with the end users, understand with them. I can give you another example, which is not commercial example, but this is a very social example. Breastfeeding is one of the biggest problems. Now, why that is a problem? Because there are a lot of misconceptions in the society. The misconceptions are in various areas, like dhuri dena and first milk is bad and all those things, right? Which is not true. Okay, so the challenge was there are a few NGOs who are working in this field. So they developed a training material along with UNICEF, and they were conducting classes. Now they had a limitation of scalability. So there are millions and millions of mothers. How do you reach so many mothers? So then we said that let us develop an application for them. Okay. So we converted approximately 80 pages document into a mobile application, which was very difficult task. And I can see so many women, right? So they have, there are certain psychological aspects. Now, typically something is there, women or mothers tend to look only what is there for the children, and they will try to ignore themselves. Okay. But unless they take care of themselves, right? So their child will not be good. And the problem is so huge that the compliance to best breastfeeding practices is less than 50%. Meaning 50% of our next generation is going to be suboptimally nourished. That's an extremely big problem, right? So it boils down to unhealthy kids, their mental development, everything, right? But now, how do you address this problem, right? So sitting in office doesn't make sense, right? So we actually went to a lot of mothers, sat with them, right? So we actually went to Jhoppadpatti, had chai with them, stayed there for a couple of days, created some models, asked them to participate. Then they created the application, and that application then when we rolled out, it was success, right? And after all this exercise, no, so we got so much of good feedback that one lady, we don't know what is that lady's name. She said that, sir, we don't have a mother, but this application is taking care of me like a mother. Okay, so that's where the importance of process, customer centricity, understanding the value perception of the end user comes into picture. Now, if you join these dots, then you have a unicorn. Otherwise, if any of these dots is missed, then there's a failure.
Very nicely explained,
Very
Sanjay.
nice.
I think very nicely explained.
Abhijit, yeah. Please, can you
Coming
share
to
your
that,
thoughts?
sure, definitely. As Sanjay rightly said, many new startups, they are basically result oriented. That means they are looking for immediate low hanging fruits to be captured and show as results for success stories, so that they can benefit on that and capitalize on the business more. They are not process oriented, so there has to be a process for everything. And as we said, if we are process oriented, your results are going to be predicted, and whatever thing that we do will be always have a scientific background to it, and it will not result in failures most of the time. So that is very important. And again, the important topic is feedback, customer feedback. We hardly take customer feedback. We always take customer feedback only for the satisfaction purpose, but not from the product development purpose. For example, what the needs of the customers are, what they want in the product, or what they are expecting out of it. And basically, it's very important for us to know when we develop a new product whether this product meets the customer expectation. Because what is value? When you say value added product or a value added process, in that the word value means anything that a customer is willing to pay for. Everything else is waste. That is what is always defined in value management. So whatever a customer is willing to pay for is the value. Everything else is the waste. So, for example, but there are certain things like government statutory processes, licenses, etc., are not really value added. It means the customer is not willing to pay for it, definitely. But these are required things. You cannot avoid them. So those are things which you still need to consider. But what is important is value addition. If there is no value addition, and if your customers are not surveyed and what they expect, so there will be always three customer expectations. One will be in terms of quality, how good the products are. Secondly, in terms of delivery, that means how fast can you do that. Number three will be what will be the cost of it. For example, if I provide television set, which I say, okay, this television set is 1 lakh rupees, and why 1 lakh rupees? Because there are 35 HDMI ports in it. So it's not adding any value. Why I need 35 HDMI ports? 2 or 3 are sufficient for me. That means I am not studied customer expectations, what they want, and I'm unnecessarily giving the features and benefits which nobody wants, and then the cost is loaded onto it. So there is no value addition. It's a waste onto the product. So that is how we indulge into a lot of things, into new product development, new businesses, because they have no process orientation. They don't go by they are basically result oriented. That means they just want results, they want successes, and those success must be shown. But those are not going to happen unless you have a very stable and mature processes. So once you go out of this COVID-19 situation, definitely we need good, stable, because the world is not going to be as open as before after this COVID-19 situation. Everything is going to be restricted, at least for some time. So we need to be habitual to this kind of working, and then the processes will definitely help if you are working from home, or if you are managing your business remotely, and then if you have a good metrics, if you have good customer-centric processes, if you have safe processes, then definitely it will add on. It will give a lot of value addition, and the processes will be really challenging as we are feeling now.
Thank you, Abhijit. That was wonderful. You have covered the value cycle, the customer behavior, and many things about the market intelligence as well. Thank you for that. One final last question I'm asking Dr. Ajay. With a lot of inventions that you are around, we just like to hear last inputs from you on how can technology or companies or business maximize on the technology in
Yeah.
this kind of COVID opportunities.
Yeah, in COVID opportunity, we had I can say we had big opportunity, I can say, because technology will driven the market now. Because everything will be virtual. So who will driven the market? Okay, it's a very very simple and best answer for this, because everything will be driven by technology. Everything will be driven by the digitalizations. Everything will be driven by virtual only. So nowadays the things are going in a different way, different thinking, different processes. Just we were discussing about process. Process means what? The definition of process means input converted into output. Right, sir? So whatever the inputs we are getting it. So if inputs are very, very strong, then definitely we'll get output. And of course, after all, it's a delight of the customers. Okay. So whatever we can do, whatever the technology, because in this situation, technology everywhere, if you can see, I told you again. I'm telling you again, because in 10 within 10 years, the things will be changed rapidly. You will see the different world because of this virtual things, technology development. Lots of different innovations are going on in this world. So I'll give you that different word, like that. Today's century is about speed. Today's century is about innovations. Today's century is about knowledge. Today's century is about different thinking. So lots of things are changing, sir. So technology will be the winner. So if you have a very good technology, you will be the winner, sir.
Thank you for that insights.
Thank you very much.
Now,
Dr. Ajay, you have added just want to add a
yeah, sure.
Dr. Ajay, you have actually put up a very important point that ultimately it has to be a customer delight, and
Yes.
whatever technology we are using, it's only to ultimately delight the customer, and that is
Good.
kind of going to be the game changer into this. So way
True.
the processes are going to be more important, and I think Sanjay has explained a very beautifully the 5-step process in a normal
True.
kind of agricultural kind of scenario as well, or a rural startup. But I think it's very well important that it has to be a customer link. And what Abhijit was mentioning about on that value creation, the customer, if customer is not ready to pay for it, there is no point for it. So ultimately, even the technology front, we have to be very very clear that whatever technology we are putting in, it is helping customers to reduce their efforts rather than increase their administrative efforts.
True. Yeah.
So thanks, Dr. Ajay,
Thank you very
for
much.
the same. Thank you for
Thank you
your
very much.
pulse of wisdom, I would say. Money,
Yeah.
over to
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thanks, Ansha. So, thanks. It was a great share from all the speakers. And with this, we open for the questions from the audience. Anyone has a query, we can actually put forward in the chat box, and we will ask the speakers.
So seems like, frankly, the speakers have done their best part today.
Yeah,
So
to
they've all understood everything. So
yeah.
it's a pretty good sign. So
So this
I
we
have an observation. I had some reading up done 2 days back, and what Sanjay has said about the sea, the change in the sea, the fishermen know. So I was reading on that, and they have fish oil in a bottle. If the oil thickens, there's a storm coming. If the oil thins, the weather is going to be clear. If the oil turns dark, it indicates something else. So I had been reading on fish oil, and I came across this snippet of information. The fishermen use this for their weather predictions. So,
Very nice. I mean, I think it's a very simplified measurement system and,
yes,
basically
and
a trigger which they have created on that. I think,
and
Sanjay, you have
it's
something to
on
share about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to share a couple of experiences, from my previous project. So, which defies the normal IT knowledge and biological knowledge. So, this is related to a process agricultural thing. So, there was one mango. We created an application for social interaction of the farmers. So, and we gave it to the farmers. So they started interacting, and the youngest user was a 10-year boy, Adivasi community. So one of the questions raised by an experienced farmer was, my mango leaves are wilting. Now is the mango season, so that came to my mind. So my mango leaves are wilting, so what I should do? So this boy, for 8 to 10 years, he said that just do an experiment, take out some earthworms and put it near the roots of the mango tree and tell me what happens. So this guy did these things, and this earthworm started moving away from that roots. This boy said that you have put so much of fertilizers and pesticide that this even earthworms are not staying there. So just take out some soil, replenish it with the organic thing, and really that problem was solved in 6 months. Right? So there's a lot of
that's fantastic.
tacit knowledge, in the society,
Yeah.
and I think these are pre-WhatsApp days. So people should have a channel to express themselves, to bring out this knowledge. But right now, I think WhatsApp, what I see is just forwards, right? So nothing is there. So it just forward, and some nonsense things are there. But typically, if you create a good application for societies, a lot of this tacit knowledge can be useful, and it can be unearthed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
It was a great share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we hand over to Rashri for capturing today's pearls of wisdom. Over to you, Rashri.
I would only want to just say welcome to Pooja. She's joining us from Nagpur. Nagpur, right? Or Bhopal.
Okay, hello everybody and good evening. This is Pooja Bakchandani. I'm from Bhopal and it is a pleasure, though I missed the complete session, but few little things which I can assemble was the process which we were talking about.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So today's topic is, this entire week was process focused. So I would just like to share with everybody that Pooja will be now starting her own sessions on Bringle platform very soon, and she's working very closely with the college students. So we will be kind of just thought I'll just introduce her on the Bringle platform at this time.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Pooja, for
Ansha.
joining.
Thank you so much. I am an internationally certified life coach, and my company is Reach Infinity. To just give a small little introduction. And Miss Sharmila, your insight was really good. And Sanjay, your even the practical example, which is an everyday learning from these small little bits, which you experiential learning, as we say. You experience and you learn certain things. So this was one of it. So pleasure. I was here to just get that small little pickups from today's session.
Thanks. Thanks, Pooja. Rajshri, over to you. And sorry to hold you there for the
No,
pulse
no.
of wisdom for the entire.
No, good. Yeah, nice to have you, Pooja, here. Good you introduced. Again, today's speakers were fantastic, and today we had internationally acclaimed award winner speakers. So, and I think that the fantastic, all of them had their own perspective and their own value that they have created in their area. So Abhijit talked a lot about how process is important, and it is not about just process and standardization of process, monitoring it, and also following it and using it to the core. So I have, in the past worked with Abhijit. So I know Abhijit has been doing this for the past 30 years, and he's a director, SAPA for Otis, and he has been, doing fantastic job. So I think he comes with a lot of clarity that the process will not excellence or process will not change. Process will remain the same. Maybe the environment has changed. So that was the biggest message he gave. And he said, because of that, how we have to be prepared, our backups have to be prepared. So that is a workaround that we have to do. We are not touching any processes. That was one takeaway I had. Then he also talked about the metrics, that which are safety, customer, operations quality, detailing business results. Everything should be towards what customer is giving you back. It should pay you back from the customer. It should not be for the sake of you're doing some, process, but if it is not going to pay you back, then there is no point driving the process. So he was quite business oriented towards his a process expert, value add that he did. And if you look at, if I go back to Sanjay, Sanjay gave the wider picture that how to change the social issues. So the process here and process there with the Sanjay. Sanjay gave the bigger picture of the the national issues you take up and how systematically you keep solving them. And he simplified everything when he was saying that, I was feeling that it's so easy, but I know the humongous task. Kumbh Mela is not something very simple. The Kumbh Mela model, 800 people getting involved in that, then they are brainstorming. Here, 4 people, when they get involved, they can't brainstorm. 800 people defining a process for lakhs and lakhs of, Kumbh Mela people, it's not easy. And then again, using this, extrapolating this model to smart cities. See the linkage. He talked about this model was extrapolated in the smart cities. So this is how the process innovation is not just a process innovation. It is creating something else for the futuristic view of the nation. And that is something he talked very nicely. When he was talking about the process of innovation, he talked CRIB, observe and innovators. So those who CRIB, there are some who observe and there are some who innovate. I think all 3 are required because CRIBs tell you what is not there. The observers let you know that what is there, and innovators give the solutions, and you fall into the solution category. So that is why you go to those CRIB, the issues, people having issues. You go there, and that is when you spoke about the step-by-step process, you talked about the people who are facing the problem, you go to them first. And then you come down to the final solution, and the scalability is something you talk. I liked your, because I'm a sociologist and a researcher on gender studies. So I was very connected with the social issues. So I was attentively listening. That's something. Then Dr. Ajay, I was going through your profile, and the amount of awards you have won, it's amazing. And to get Limca award or to get those awards, you must have done a lot of work, and you must have trained a lot of people. It's not easy. Your focus was more how 10 years ahead we have to see how things are changing, how things will change, and you have to be prepared for that. And how you have been contributing now. 37 of your experience, the experience that you have, you want to give out to the society, and that is what you highlighted. I think these are the pearls of wisdoms for today. I'm Rajshri Rajshekhar. I'm a founder of Poonam Foundation. I'm a researcher on gender neutrality, HR professional with 28 years of experience. We create gender neutral society, gender neutral workplaces and societies. Thank you. Over to Anshau.
Thanks, Rajshri. And I think I would want to give first of all a special thanks to Sanjay, Dr. Ajay, and Abhijit for spending their almost like 1.5 hours with us and sharing their experience and knowledge with the entire world. We would want to connect with you offline and take more information on your work and whatever the experiences you have, and we would want to kind of take it across the globe with our upcoming TV and radio series, the paper book, the digital book, and an ebook. So we will definitely reach out to you for those things. I would also want to thank my entire core team, without which this 21 days business sustainability challenge would not have been sustaining till now. I think we are on the 15th day or a 14th day onto this. And especially to Rajshri, who has been working very hard to getting speakers from all across the world, along with Charu, who is supporting her in making sure that this session happens every day from Singapore. And
Charu gets international people.
so Charu has
It's
a
amazing
very
teamwork,
wide
I will say. It's amazing
coverage.
teamwork, and I'm really learning a lot. Thank you so much.
And Mani being coming up with a lot of experience with startups, almost dozens of startups he has mentored. And he has his own company, Solveworks, wherein he supports technology and he develops technological tools for various startups onto that. So I think Mani comes with a great experience, and he giving time every day on these meetups is a real value add. And he can ask those questions, sometimes tough questions, but specifically from a startup's point of view. And I think that is a focus which we need to bring in, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs who are there in the ecosystem, and they need to understand the importance of the process, the importance of metrics, data, how this is going to change their world. And the whole objective of Design Your Unicorn is to reduce that 97% dropout or the unsuccessful rate of the startups. So if we are able to bring it down to even 5 or 6% down, it will be much more value which we can add it up. And with our Design Your Unicorn methodology, we are targeting to bring 100 unicorns in this decade, 2020 to 2030. I would also like to thank Sharmila specifically, because she keeps working, behind the scenes. She's working as a CEO and co-founder of Bringle. She's also managing the CSR wing of Bringle, which is Vardhan as managing director. She has got multiple hats to wear, and in her so much of busy time, she ensures that she brings out the inclusivity into the platform, into the discussions, and into various forums. So thanks, and really commendable work, Sharmila. Thanks for being there. Simran, who has always been invisible to the entire world, but she's always been there supporting all of us, binding us together. So special thanks to Simran and for making this work. Apart from this, I would also want to thank specifically Radio Masti 24/7 Singapore, who has been publishing, who has been basically airing daily pearls of wisdom on their live shows. So do download their applications, Radio Masti 24/7, and keep tune that up. It is available both in iOS and Android. It is the only Radio Masti 24/7 Singapore is the only Hindi speaking radio channel in Southeast Asia, which is giving the coverage of around 1.4 million listeners as of today. So these all pearls of wisdom goes every day live over there as well. So please keep tuning that, and you may find you will definitely find your names, and Pulse of Wisdom will be coming in over there. Apart from that, everybody who is there here, they can watch the recorded live sessions at YouTube channel Bringle Talks. All the last almost 3 weeks, we have completed 3 weeks today. So all the 3 weeks sessions have been published over there. It's a 15th day, along with the first day where we took the pledge to continue this 21 days challenge. And do watch it there. There are a lot of information. There are ample amount of information which has been shared by the experts. Every day we have speakers from anywhere from 3 to 8 speakers, and they're sharing really great pulse of wisdom. Don't miss out that. I've been getting a lot of requests from startups and businesses to get support and get enrolled into Design Your Unicorn program. So I would like to request all of you, all of the businesses, that if you are looking for investments, please upload your pitch deck at bringalacademy.com/course/business sustainability. And our due diligence team is working very hard to work on each startup, evaluate them, and you will be getting a chance to pitch it in front of our cross-border investors starting 27th of April. It will be a 1 week of live pitching followed by the celebration event, and we will be looking for those 10 businesses whom we will make it unicorn and help them achieve their $1 billion dream. So with this, I would like to thank each and everybody, the viewers, listeners, participants, speakers, core team, collaborators, sponsors, for making this show really, really successful. Thank you once again, and keep bringing, keep growing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.